Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show. I am so grateful that you're here. We've got another amazing energy scan show. Oh my God, people absolutely love this show. I just have to say, I feel like I'm bragging, but isn't that fun, right? So the people love this show. These shows are very tuned into, maybe sometimes, in some cases, maybe even more than some of my interview shows. So definitely be tuning in. There's something to it. People are listening. People are curious. They want to know, what am I going to download for the next guest? And who is this guest? What do they have to share? What awesome sauce do they bring to the party, right? So another spiritual rock star leader, and we want to know all about her and what she's doing to help people. And I have a feeling that she's got a lot of abundance for you. She brings an abundance energy, a potency, and she helps to unlock your gifts, unlock your potential. How do I know? I don't know. I don't know her that well yet, but I'm just tuning in. She finds the gold nuggets. She knows where that gold is. She's going to find it. She's got a nose for the money. She's got a nose for the abundance. She's going to find it, okay? So let's watch how this unfolds and what new treasures you may find during this entire energy scan show. So yes, I'm so grateful to have you here today, Elian.
Thank you for having me on your show. I'm very excited myself. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Yes, good to be here.
So yeah, let me share with the audience more about you. Elian is a best-selling and award-winning author, show host, and speaker. Elian has spent most of her professional life in the fitness and wellness industry and is a certified professional coach with a private practice and yoga studio there in Texas. Elian specializes in Mid-Life and Transformational Coaching and known for her straightforward coach approach, quote unquote, coach approach, presenting and sharing her life lessons with a good dose of joy, humor, and energy. After years of counseling and somatic work at an addiction rehab facility, her expertise lies in trauma-informed care, addiction recovery, grief, PTSD, depression, and anxiety intervention. So yeah, that's all part of her amazing work. So let's get into it then. Elian, tell me, how do you help people find the gold and help them experience massive abundance, even if you don't directly do that? Because that's what I was hearing in the guidance. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I do. I help people find themselves in the first place and go back. I help people to find, which I call find their sexy back. I call that literally. And that is something that is very personal, of course. It has nothing to do with that word, but describing in a sense of where their power is and where their inner peace is and where their struggles are and how to overcome that and how they can kind of come back to caring for themselves, loving themselves, and getting out of that state of mind that a lot of people are in right now. So a lot of my clients, they're stuck, and a lot of my clients are at this point people in their midlife, and that is from 50 plus. It could be a gentleman who is going through grief of the loss of a loved one or a divorce, or it could be a lady that has not really attended or spent much time with herself and what she really wants to do with life. So they are just looking and searching. Maybe she has always, took care of the kids and was the caretaker and the husband and the things. And then all of a sudden there's that emptiness. And I also call it a sign of the times because we have this tremendous overload of everything, right? We have over information and we're overstressed and we're overworked and, we're over worried and all that. And so everything is kind of like too much right now. So I think we suffer from collaborate feel of anxiety and fear. And just to deal with it in daily life, I try to get people to find, in the first place, the difference between stress and anxiety. Like, is it this news thing that constantly gets you, like this overwhelming feel of fear for where the world is going? Or is the energy low right now and you feel that? Or is it just because you're constantly worried about the future that you can actually not really, you know, address, unless you're taking your own creative power back there and make sure that you can address and take care of your future. And I really help people moving forwards, and that is a big deal, right? Trying to find out where you want to go. So in a sense, most of my clients and patients in the past, if there's an addiction, if there's substance abuse, that is usually just a band-aid on the real wounds, right? So most of the people that I meet, they do know very well what they don't want, but they do not know what they do want.
Yeah.
And that is always my first question. So I know what you don't want now after getting to meet you and talking, and what you want to change, and or what you're not happy with, or what you're overwhelmed with. But tell me what you would like to see and where you would like to go. And a lot of people have no clue
Right.
how to address that, right? And that's really what I try to help people find. Where's the dream, or where's that vision, and where's your energy that you had when you were 15 or 20 or 25 years old and you could handle it all? And we have a lot of people that don't really look at their accomplishments. They forget to do that in the midst of all the busy and all the crazy and all the, the stuff that comes at us. And I call that my coach approach, because I'm pretty straightforward, and I'm pretty straightforward. If people tell me, well, just, it's life. And I will say, no, it's not. It's not life's fault, right? It's the way you reacted to all these things that got you into this state of mind. So I always go back to the mindset. I address mind, body, spirit, all three. And I call that my triangle transformation. So I bring people really, like, that's what I call midlife and transformation coach. I really want to try to make people understand that you can change. And change is kind of a dirty word, right? That you can grow into just a new, exciting path or personality or journey that you want to create if you're not in a happy place.
Mm. So you've helped them find that gold.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, it's out there.
You got
Yeah,
all the gold right there. You can't even see it, right? So you
yeah,
help
it's
people
out
to
there.
activate
Yeah.
that because you got a nose for it. You're like, I know I know where the good stuff is for you. Let me help you out in discovering that. So I love that. Uh, what motivated you to do this work? What led you to doing this work?
I was always a wellness, and I was most of my life I've been professional. With my professional career, I should say, lies in the fitness and wellness industry. So
Mm-hmm.
I came up through ballet, dance career, ballet education, theater education, lots of on theater, stage stuff, acting, dancing in my younger years. And then when I came to the United States, that was just kind of like in my mid 30s, when I also knew that dance was not forever, and I was teaching a lot, and I love teaching. And I always say, like, I guess we teachers and we presenters and we speakers are really bossy, because we have an opinion about everything, right? But I knew that I loved teaching and helping people, so that was always the case. I taught since when I was 18. I started teaching just dance and helping the kids and helping others. But that turned into a lifelong career of fitness and wellness. So I went and really literally grew up with the Jane Fonda era and the Richard Simmons and let's move.
How
And
fun.
if I wasn't moving, I wasn't happy. So I really was teaching people that movement is just the number one kind of thing to stay emotionally and mentally fit, right? And just through that career, just really slowly moved into more of a mindfulness career in a way of the early 90s. There was yoga, there was Reiki for me, there was Tai Chi and energy work. So I really just moved into a slower pace of teaching and using that with people. At the same time, when I started a decade later teaching at a addiction recovery facility with people inpatient, patients stayed there for 30 to 90 days. I really thought, and I always had that capacity, but I really was able to make people talk and help them through talk therapy, but I never really wanted to step in the shoes of a therapist. So I didn't really want to go back to their pain and trauma, but I wanted to help them move forwards. So I added that life coaching certification to what I was doing to build that credibility and ultimately open or stayed in my own practice, which I was kind of doing on the side, but made that a full-time job and still teach some Tai Chi and yoga and mindfulness meditation classes next to that. But and I cannot do uh, the whole day fitness myself anymore. So it was a really natural flow into yoga and into meditation. And what can I do with it? How can I help into that, like I said, triangle transformation? Because the word, even in the facility that I worked, was really connecting the mind, body, spirit, right? And really uh, finding that connection. And when I found out that there was a lot that had a lot to do with the connection of our minds, always manifesting in the body, I started studying Bessel van der Kolk, of course, right? The body keeps score. I knew that trauma-informed yoga was one of the degrees that I wanted to pursue, which I did. And so that way I really started to feel um, how I could use that connection, where people hold pain, where it started, where what their trauma could trigger, and why they had so much problems with their intestines or their organs or whatever it was, right? So starting to bring that connection on, and um, and I love that. I love seeing the person as a whole, as a unity, right, and kind of feeling their energy. And I think that I am intuitive when it comes to that. So I make people feel very comfortable and safe when they are working with me.
Mhm.
And, kind of picking up on their language, their bodies, their pain, and it's not that we do go back to where their pain lies, so where it started. But it's very important, again, that I don't want to have that pain anymore. I don't want to relive that trauma anymore. I don't want to go back there constantly. Well, let's find out what you do want. Well, I don't know,
Yeah,
right?
let's get into that because I wanted to ask you about that. So that is so true. Like, I think some people like ourselves that have been, relatively clear, yeah, although we all got a mind that's always wonders about everything. I don't know about this, I don't know about that, right? Like there's always that part of the mind, but people are more clear about what they want to do in their life and are already doing it or whatever. Um, we don't realize how unclear so many other people are in their life, right? I have no clue what I want to do with my life, right?
Hmm.
That people are just do it, life's doing them, right? Kind of like they're just going through the paces and everything. And our listeners, I'm sure there's some of our listeners that may be in that category. That's certainly possible that they're still stuck in a job, they're spiritual, they want to get their business going, they're not clear. But even if they are, let's say they're super clear, they feel like, but I'm not clear and I need to be clearer. And then, so what I wanted to ask you about that, because that's so true. Sometimes you could talk to a new prospective client, I imagine, because I've heard this from other coaches that work with people like that, and are like, we literally spend all this time, and they just keep telling me what they don't want, and they don't tell me what they want. So
Yeah.
when when you're talking to those people, how do you help them to understand what they really want and start getting clear on it? What's your process for that?
Well, in the first place, I want to add to that what we just discussed and how I came to this place was kind of like the professional side of it, right? And what I discovered through the trauma that I had experienced and the years that I got super stuck. So not to say that for me it was clear at all. I always say
Mhm.
when I was young, I thought everything was very clear, but till the moment I found clarity. And there's a huge difference between I think everything is clear or finding that clarity, and that has way more to do with your inner purpose, with the why, right? With knowing why you are doing certain things and why you are in such a good place doing it. Um, so experiencing trauma myself in my 20s and 30s, I realized that I didn't do anything with that because I was from a generation where my parents passed away when I was in my late 20s, and these kind of I didn't talk about it because you just you just get over it. And there was not something as progress and process and talking about it. So actually for years, although I can be socially very engaged, but I didn't talk about that.
Mm.
So I had to do a lot of work myself to come to that place of clarity. And I think that people understand that they are with me when they're with me, that they understand that I have been there. It's not that I have not done a couple of marriages or or lost people or I said jokingly I would say I did everything wrong and so now I know how to do it right. But to look back and to help them to look back at their own trauma timeline, um, and why you go back to that place if you get triggered, that is the first thing that we need to understand and that I'm trying to make clear. And then when we can find, I call that find it and feel it, right? When we can find these places of pain, we can actually embrace it. I am not a coach, and I have to really make that clear, that says you have to get over it or it will go away. PTSD, trauma, pain will never leave you. The loss of your loved one, loss of children, it doesn't go away. But that's why I say if we find and we feel that pain, then we can maybe embrace it, even in our body where we hold that, we can embrace it. And when we can embrace it and connect with it, then we can move through and move with that pain and you can make it your own. And look, what I did with it is I made it my own because I finally started writing. I was always journaling, but when my son left the house and we became empty nesters, for years I had this plan to write this book about my life, a biography, and just write it down because that was for me such a healing process to write it down. And at the same time, I made this book about I made this my story, and I wrote it also for my son because another aspect that I found really important was that I learned that I had to talk and I had to tell my story, and more people asked for it. Why don't you tell that story, or why don't you write it down? I mean, it's an amazing story that you have, and you are, it's courage, it's strength, it's overcoming, and I was sort of a what would you call that? Not, yeah, sort of a shyness, misplaced shyness about it. Like, who wants to, imposter syndrome kind of thing about it. Who wants to listen to my story? But then when my son left, and I realized that when you're in your teens and your 20s and your 30s, it's all about me. He's not going to ask me, hey, mom, how was your life? Till they're at a certain age that they're, having their own family or they're experiencing difficulties in life or challenges or obstacles that they have to overcome. And then my son will ask for advice, but I didn't tell him everything, right? And I thought that storytelling is just gone in our society. We don't have our parents live with us or our grandparents live with us, like in so many cultures, where that storytelling is still very, um, in there, right? In the society and in the culture, in the families. And we just kind of, so having not my parents there, not being able to ever reflect or ask or get feedback. And secondly, for my son to move out, he was my only one. I had him late in life. So I thought, well, and what if something happens? He needs to know my story. He doesn't have to read it now, but he needs to know my story. And so many people had said, to write that down. So I kind of overcame that yeah, that thing like, why should I and who am I? And started writing it down, and it was just a great journey. I published last year, and became a bestseller, and just talking about the story and talking about what I learned from it. And my book is titled 60 Miles from Neiman's, which kind of reflects of where I live, 60 miles south of Dallas in the countryside, right? 60 miles away from Neiman's. But that gave me the title was handed to me, right? It was one of these things where people always said, "Why do you live 60 miles away?" So that just kind of became the fun of the title. But the subtitle really is moving away from expectations. And I was so blocked. Expectations were such a big obstacle for me and I believe that a lot of people do that. So that from there on, I started working, and that's one of my main paths with people. How much do you do because you want it, or how much do you do like I did in my former life? I say no. How much do you do to please others? Right, in your 20s you do everything that your parents hopefully would like you to do, study or marry, and then the 3-bedroom 2-bath, and then the children, and then you grow with your friends into that pattern of the house on Wisteria Lane, and people get so consumed by that they forget to connect with where they really are. And if I look back at my midlife clients and I ask them, well, what have you done for yourself? I just try to please everybody else and live up to the expectations of being a mom or being a wife or being a partner or being a husband. And so letting go of all that and truly find out where the purpose and the passion is for an individual, that is my challenge. That is my love. That's what I love to find out with my clients.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free Meditate, Make Money meditation today. So essentially, the thing that's locking people up in part is the trauma that keeps them feeling like they're confused. They don't know what they want. They don't know if it's safe to have what they want, right? All those things, and then you help them to embrace those, embrace them, sort of clear the energy around it, right? Start clearing the energy around it, even though you'll never get rid of it. So, and then ultimately they're able to have a better space to open up for themselves, to be able to understand through that journey what the real purpose is, and then to gain clarity. Is that's close to...
Absolutely, absolutely. I think a lot of people have not asked themselves what is their why. What is your purpose? And I always believe that if you find that purpose, then you're in a better space and then you can give it away. When I truly told myself that I'm not always just teaching, aerobics or fitness or teaching people to be well or healthy, but I was putting so much more into it. I had to understand myself that was truly why I did it. And I give you an example. In the past, I would teach classes and I would make it super cheap, talking about money and the connection with money. I had no education, no connection, no relationship with money whatsoever. And honestly, my mantra was what was given to me by a teacher is like, I'm not in it for the income, I'm in it for the outcome. And I was raised by a mother who said it's all about love. Love is good, right? It's not about the money, it's all about love. And honestly, as a European now, I can proudly say that, yes, I don't attach to things, because if we have a lot, we have to take care of it. And that's part of the problem, right? We have a lot, we have to take care of it. Then we don't have time for it. And then we get stressed out and it piles up.
Got the yacht that you never use, yeah.
All that stuff that's the boat and the whatnots. But yes, all that stuff that piles up where it's fun for a while. I'm not saying that we don't want to have fun with material things, but to actually take care of it and to understand that if you own that is a big commitment. And then there's a lag there, right? People are just in the weekends like, oh, the lawn, and now we have the front lawn, the back lawn, diapers.
Yeah.
Who wants to, right? After working the whole week, maybe 2 jobs because we got over our head into debt.
Yeah.
I understand that, but it's a bad place to find yourself at a later time because it's more difficult to get out of it, right? I had no relationship with that financial picture, budget. I didn't know that if you have a Starbucks a day, that's 30 days later, there is $150 gone. And
Right.
the
More
big
than that, I
picture.
think
Yeah.
now. It's been going up in price, but it might be $200 now.
Right. And then what is that in a year? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I never even had it to begin with. Why? And my mindset, I didn't have that money, but my mindset is it's just $5,
Mm.
right? Instead of seeing the big picture. Anyway, um, I was also fairly cheap or my prices and my fees were low. And I was in a giving mode. And so at some point, somebody said to me, a wise, wonderful mentor said to me, well, but what do you give people? What are they getting for doing a class with you or practicing yoga with you or being in a meditation class for that matter? And I said, well, I just feel good and they're just having so much fun. Right? So much fun together and they're making friends. No. Let's start that question again. What are they getting out of it? What is the outcome that you give people? Well, they just love coming and the music and the access. No. You see, so we just kept digging. What are
Mm.
you really giving? Well, and ultimately, I had to think so deep
Mhm.
to come to that realization that what I was giving was so much more valuable than I priced it.
Mm.
People had low blood pressure or their sugar, they didn't have sugar problems anymore, or their heart was good, or they were healthier, they were stronger, they got a bit of the neck pain and shoulder pain or whatever it was. Their mind was calm, meditation was beneficial, they slept so good. All these things that they actually taught me and or told me that I did for them, I didn't put a price on it and I didn't see it. I was,
Mhm.
still in that false modesty of, and that was part of my trauma because where I came from, what I wanted to do was not really taken serious.
Mm.
Yeah, that's fun on the side and in the backyard. You just do that with
Mhm.
your girlfriends, and it became my career because I was always so passionate about movement and mind. But for a long time in the days, people didn't take it serious, so I didn't.
Mm. Mhm.
Does that make sense? I
Yeah.
had no relationship with the outcome of my work. I only put 110% in it all the time
Yeah.
because my keywords were I'm passionate and I'm intent about everything that I do. And I was called the healer dealer and oh, you always have so much energy and you're just the energy person and you're just a healer. But I didn't look at it
Mhm.
as placing value for myself on the things that I could contribute as a healer or, as somebody who would be maybe have a wise word for somebody, right? And help them. And so when I started changing that around, seeing it that way, uh, my classes went up from $5 to $25, in the days. And now we're talking 20 years ago. But slowly, very slowly, I moved into that process of gaining that self-esteem and
Mhm.
gaining that courage to yeah to value myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so
Mhm.
beautiful. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's so many aspects to that, right? That's one of the things I've been noticing is it's a misunderstanding I think a lot of people have when approaching their own change and also helping other people to change. They don't realize all the components that go into change. Number one, you do have things like trauma, right? So we have
Mhm.
that's a stick point, for people to move forward and change and be different than they are today. No, I can't. It's not safe, or whatever the programming is from the trauma, right? Whatever we got encoded within that trauma. But then also, even if you get past that, then you also have like, this is something new. That's a threat. Then if you get past that, then you've got like, I don't have even the neurology to know how to do this yet. And so I don't have confidence, and oh my God. And then you've got like, it's literally a skill that you're developing to really hone it, to really, really hone it and really get it into your cells and your body and your brain and your nervous system. Whether it's some sort of exercise, or it's anything we're doing. So we don't always appreciate that. So when people say, I'm going to turn you from this to this in 20 days or whatever, it's usually not at all realistic, number one. And number two, even if you pull it off, people don't show you the back ends of these transformations. Like, okay, what happened 200 days later? Like, what happened, like how long did it sustain? Yeah, that was great. What happened? Fine, that's great. But how about the sustainability? What happened next? And then we don't hear about the 99% other people maybe that got just nothing out of it, did not work for them, right? So I think like what I hear from you, is, and this is a teaching point, I think, for all the spiritual entrepreneurs that are coaches and healers and people like that out there that are listening in today, is, look at someone like Elian today and look at the way she's approaching things with such care and compassion. And, yes, she's got the, come on, let's go. But also there's a compassion and, come on, you can do it. I've got you. Like I hate to say it this way, but because it sounds bad, but like a baby wanting to walk, like, yes, you can do it, you got it, look at you, right? And but there's compassion, and there's a space she's holding, and she's got wisdom and knowledge, natural healing, and all this stuff that she's bringing into it, expertise. And then it's just like, you get the confidence, you're like, well, maybe I can do this, and things drop in faster, is what I'm hearing with you. So for you, for your clients, for you, I said for you, but for the clients is what I'm trying to say. So they dropping faster because I could do this. You give them the confidence, that shot of like, this is doable, and then they can, maybe progress quicker, where something might take months or years to figure out. All of a sudden, like in a short period of time, they're like, you know what, I'm already moving on this, I'm already in another level on this, or whatever. And it's still a process, but it gets moved along more quickly. So, indirectly, like right away, I'm getting into the energy scanning, because I tune into how people work and can see it and perceive it. So that's what I'm hearing and listening you talk, and then as I'm tuning in and seeing that. But yeah, this is becoming something I'm becoming deeply aware of, because I used to be, I don't know about you, if you were this way or not, but when I first got into transformational work with people and trying to help people to change, I used to be a little stronger. I used to be more of a sledgehammer. I'm like, don't give me your BS, let's go, boom. Like,
Yeah.
which works for some people. It can be helpful and really move people forward fast for the right people. Other people could traumatize the hell out of them and just make them run away, right? It's like, oh my God, this reminds me of whatever. And they're gone. They're gone. They're not coming back either. And so I've learned this discernment, over many years. Like it's been a journey. So I appreciate, the way you nurture people to really, it sounds like, go from like, I don't know what the heck to do with my life, to really, clear out the trauma that they never got around to clearing out before, and then find deeper meaning and purpose to who they are and what they want to do now in their life, right? Like, what's my next thing?
It is absolutely going back to that change. I don't use the change word in my practice, because I have learned exactly by what you're saying, that it is so intimidating for people, and they think that they have to change. And we don't. We are ourselves. I am that personality that I was always, that I have that, my fibers, right? I was made up, my makeup. But what we can do is grow, and people don't understand that through that growth, and through seeking more of a truth to self, that they can move tremendously forward. And with that, I bring that law of attraction from that negative thinking to that positive thinking, right? That I actually have control over what I want to do tomorrow and how I want to react to situations, or how I process pain. I have control over that. I can actually do something. I don't have to go on my back with all fours up and cry for 3 days, and having that feel that I drag everybody into that. Everybody has to have that same pain as I have. I don't have that anymore. I'm just way more at peace. And I make them understand that if they say, I just want to be happy, that happiness is always connected to a person, a thing, a place, an event, a happening, a circumstance. But that the difference between happiness and peace is that peace is that inwards feeling of whatever happens. I now looking back and everything that I have accomplished, patting myself on the shoulder, I can overcome this and get through it and move through and move with it, so that I don't have that devastating outcome that I always had, right? And to where sometimes when that is really painful and people stay in that drama place or trauma place, then that becomes that negative thinking, that lack of self-esteem, that resentment, then there's the procrastination follows out of that. I have these exactly steps that you can see what people do. They start negative thinking, I can never have this, I will never go there, I can never do that, I will never change. And then they have that self-esteem, right? It's just not there. I mean, I just can't do it. And I'll try it next Monday, right? We have the procrastination. Whereas if next Monday we didn't do it, Tuesday morning we're even falling deeper off the wagon. Like, oh, I can never do it right. I'm just not getting this, and I'm such a loser, and just keeps going and going and going. That builds that huge resentment to itself, and that resentment we project on the other people around us. We get angry at our partners, right? Because we're just like, "Arr." And so that all that negative energy, I try to make them understand that if you become aware of that, if you become aware of the fact that you can grow into a better place of peace, but that you have to recognize your triggers. And that's very easy. It's not easy, but it becomes better to understand the triggers, and when they're there, that I actually know when, let's say somebody is saying something very demeaning to me. I go in the closet. I usually do not have that direct answer, and it really makes me feel bad. So I get triggered to that place of loss of self-esteem that is actually related to the girl that was 12 or 14 years old. And I act like that girl that was 14 years old, right? I want to cry and be in the closet and under my bed. And if I change that around because I'm aware of it, I'm not actually going in the closet. I step up and I say, it's their problem. Don't take it personal, right? So I let go of that. I'm not taking it personal anymore. And I'm just going back out there because now I recognize it. You have overcome and done this before, so now you can do it again. So to creating the awareness of what we're doing with our words and with our actions and with our thoughts is really important, just to know when that pain is there or when somebody tries to hurt you. And that might not even be on purpose, right? But it happens so much by things that we see around us. And it's easy for me to be thrown off by people that, who is she? Who does she think she is? Or something like that. Right.
Right.
So like, darn, I've just done all the work. And now you just, nobody ever takes me serious. That was my thing. And so you see, when I started implementing that line as it being a trigger in any form that throws me off, I can now better withstand it, right? I can stand up to it and say, that has nothing to do with me. That has to do with them.
Yeah. That's what's coming up for them, but it's not a thing for me anymore, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's talk more. I've done a little bit of scanning just in understanding how you work with people and whatnot, and just articulating that for the audience too, which is fun to do too. And giving some kind of again, some perspective and wisdom, and people could disagree, but like, no, I instantly transform all my clients. That's fine. But there's other facts and truths as well with everything. So it's all true, we can blink our eyes and everything's transformed. But again, let's check in 300 days from now, 30 years from now. One condition might be still gone, but what about the whole scenario that's going on for that person on their journey? What's going on? It doesn't happen in just a blink of an eye, right? So these changes happen over time, the deeper work. So you do that deeper work, but again, you help do it in a quicker, but yet grounded and measured way, it feels like.
And
So
there's one requirement, right? I'm sorry for interrupting you, your
mhm,
thought process, but
mhm,
um, if people don't want to,
mhm,
they are maybe exterior motivated, right? By
mhm,
parents or by loved ones, or get help.
mhm,
But if people don't want to, you can't.
mhm,
And I just tried that, and of course, I did the wrong thing. I made the wrong choices due to my path of not working through my trauma. So I made the wrong choices as well. But now, looking back, came actually just out of the need to be seen or the need to
mhm,
have somebody because I felt alone. And
mhm,
all these things become very clear. It becomes very clear why you made choices in life and why you made the wrong choices in life later on if you look back at it.
mhm,
And if people don't really have that internal need to grow
mhm.
and to do something with what is not working, but what might be working, if they're not willing, I can transform my clients. I
Mhm.
won't pretend that I can, because there's a lot of people that have great outcome and are very happy with our work. And
Mhm.
there's some people that I just have to let go because
Right, right.
you
I
either
think
come
that you're
too
being
close or
honest.
you're not ready.
You're being honest, Elian. You know, a lot of people aren't that are out there doing all this kind of work, right? They're like, oh no, all my clients love me. They all transformed. And next thing you know, I'm talking to some of their ex-clients. They're like, yeah, I don't know, it didn't work out so well for me. Like,
Yeah,
it happens.
yeah,
It's happened. And I'm like, I can't believe that person told me like all their clients are happy with them and everything. It's either they're just blatantly lying, but it must be some unconscious thing where they're protecting themselves, just like, no,
mhm,
I'm all bulletproof and all this stuff. So
right.
we just can't I think, we've got to watch it, because we start thinking like, what's wrong with us when we're coaches, right? Like, why am I not as good as these people that say they're doing all these great things? It's like, no. And then you think you need more courses, you're not good enough, you still haven't got there, you're still not over your traumas and dramas and everything else, and it just goes on forever then. So I'm glad what's really cool too with you're being very vulnerable and open in the world, and you're willing to have people see you as you've been, as you are, everything. And that's healing. That's super healing in itself. That's tremendous. That's a tremendous value. One of the things I wanted to ask you, because we do want to do some more formal energy scanning on the energy scan show, is I wanted to ask you about, as I tune into you, if I can do that now. So is I definitely get that persecution energy. I don't even know. We haven't even got into what the traumas were, that might be a whole nother show, because there's a lot to unpack with everything. But I get like sort of like in around your neck, and then with your voice, like now, of course, now you're talking a lot, but that was what people don't understand is it wasn't always that way. You're probably the quiet one, the one that was like, oh, I better watch what I say. I better watch how I'm acting, like it was more like that when you were younger. And then once you start getting more liberated, you're like, oh, no one's gonna shut me up now. I'm gonna talk as much as possible. And like that's sort of my path too. Like, I used to be so quiet. I'm like,
Yeah,
probably at some subconscious level, I wasn't thinking this aloud, I don't think, but I was like, yeah, these
true,
idiots won't get a thing I'm saying anyway, so I'll just keep it to myself.
true,
My judgment
true.
probably in my subconscious. So I was very quiet, just very present in terms of just like, oh, things are as they are, and I'm just kind of trying to leave my body right now because there's so much damn untruth going on here. I can't stand this
Mhm.
crap. But again, I didn't know that, but that's what was happening. I wasn't in my body enough. And so what I see for you is you want to protect people that are being hurt. I see that in you. Like that's came in somewhere earlier in your life, probably real early, but like I see it, they're in different times in your life. So you're there, you're like, I've got you protected. No one's gonna hurt you anymore. And that's a really it's sort of a calling, you know, for you to do that, or stand up to the people that, you know, or the forces, or even your old beliefs, or whatever it is, but you're just no more of that. Like, that's gotta go. And so that's really cool. The thing I see is that you've developed a lot more connection with source and God through everything you've been doing. And then there's still, at the same time, there's some heaviness in the head, in the crown chakra, in the intuitive center. There's like a symbol of a boulder still there. So doesn't mean you're not super intuitive and can't just precisely detail things and everything. It still can be there, but at the same time, it's more like, it's still some of that shyness, sort of. It might show up that way. Like, man, I see so much. It's almost like if you could see through someone's clothes, you're like, I'm kind of embarrassed that I can see so much. You know, so it's like you'll pull back, you know, and it's like, let's try to cover that up. So
Yeah.
I it's that in your third eye. But that's something that if you were to lean into, could just absolutely, like, a whole nother level of blowing people away, even more than now. Like, just people be like, how do you know all this stuff? And so I could see that totally with your power and energy there.
Thank
And yeah, and definitely with your sense of valuing, there's in the root chakra, there's a grounding in with that money. You know, I always like to get to the money eventually in the show, right? That money is there, okay? So you're able to take it in, and it's like, yeah, feels good. I like this money. I like this money, right? So the grounding is pretty clear, but it's like, go deeper into it, like there is a weakness underneath it. And so it's like, well, as long as we don't, still there's a, don't charge too much now. Like,
Yes.
we don't want to turn too many people away. We want to serve as many as possible, and don't be that person. And instead, so that's still in the field. So with that being said, without doing like much more, just going on and on with the scanning, where does that show up in your business right now? Where that is specific, you know, you could comment on anything I just said, but I do want
Mhm.
to get to where that's showing up in your business, where you pull back on the charging too as well.
I love that you said that, and you're so right on point. My vulnerable point is, like you said, in the crown chakra, there's still somewhat of an obstruction or a block sometimes when it comes to, again, the belonging part, right? And how do I value myself? And is it really true? Can I really contribute? Can I really be that true person that can be the helper? And, you know, from the pain that grew into that insecurity, or sometimes am I being judged? Right? That is still there. I've always had a tremendous sense of belonging, but I was always had a tremendous sense of being different and
Mhm,
just not being able to belong.
mhm.
And I wrote about that. It's that feeling of where everything's where people will say, "Oh, you're so cute," or "Oh, you know, your accent so exotic," and yeah, yeah, different. But I was thinking, it's not about that. You see me as being different,
Mhm.
right? And for me to make that my golden nugget, because I'm that special and unique, instead of seeing that as a judgment thing where, well, probably won't work out between that club of girlfriends and me. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
this belonging. That's not even so much in my work, but just having that sense um, of validation and being accepted. It's not always there because I came from that feeling of, you know, I'm just on my own. Yeah. And in my business, I struggle with the value. I struggle with I have nice, beautiful pricing, very worth it. I get it, but I do have the tendency, if there's a struggle with the client, you know, to come towards them and to still want to help out instead of just drawing one line. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's very uneven, and I say, well, what can I do to come towards you? So the outcome is still more important than the income,
Mhm.
while I, on the other hand, learn to really establish that valuable business. It's not
Mhm.
about the
Right.
100 anymore, but um, it's about, you know, the value that I can give and contribute to when you are 2 or 3 or 4 months with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So absolutely, you're so right in that, because I have always learned that comes from that feeling that is not important, right? It's love and not, but yeah, you can feed yourself, not being there,
Right.
if you just keep giving it away. Yeah, that
Right.
just,
It's
but you're
all
so
over
right.
because you can't feed yourself, and you're like, but I
Yeah,
helped a lot of people, right? You can't help people anymore. You feed yourself. So
yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so you're very right about that. It's just, but I'm getting there. So it's not that I just don't go out and close the deal, but I have a willingness to serve.
Yeah. So I mean, the big improvements are you're willing to receive, even if it's very affordable, you're willing to receive, and you have clients
Hmm.
and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of people that aren't even there. They just give it all for free. They barely ever use their gifts, or
Yeah. Yeah, I
so
can go there. I can go
all
there as
different
well.
levels, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they've gone way past that level. So,
Yes.
but given the power of your work, that I imagine, people, I don't know what you charge currently. We could get into it today or not. Either way, it's okay today, but it's just, I sense, again, like so many other people like yourself, and as far as like the level you are with charging, like you can easily charge, thousands and thousands of dollars for your services. And maybe you do, but it's, doubtful. It's doubtful that you charge, the multi thousands of dollars that you're capable of charging, and have people even be very happy with the arrangement. So what needs to shift in order for you to feel like that's okay? You have to realize you're not as responsible as you think you are, even though you gave your own speech earlier about it, right? Like, I know it's on
Yes.
them, right? But like,
Yes.
you have to really be clear about that. Like, this is an investment you're making. The investment's about you. That's why it is at the level it's at. And I'm totally detached. I totally don't need to work with you. If none of this resonates for you, that's fine. But I just know, like, the changes that you'll get are going to be like this, and this. You describe what typically you would see for somebody like them, or what you imagine for them. And that's not like you're totally guaranteeing it, but you're just saying, I would expect, I don't know, but I would expect these things would happen.
Yeah.
And, if you want this support, if you want this help, if you want to be nurtured in that direction, at least at a minimum, and I do think you'll get good results. I bet if that's typical for your clients, right? So you can say that. And then just allow yourself to realize it's about them valuing themselves rather than do they value me, right? We have to just flip it around. Like, do the people I'm bringing in, do they value themselves enough ultimately to do this or not? And to flip that around, and that it might be a big, huge gift to them to value themselves that much to invest more, right? Just like when you've invested in so many things, because you're that person, I sense anyway. You're like, sure, I'll invest, sure, I'll invest, sure, I'll
Oh yeah.
invest. But then you,
Serial webinar taker, right? And that's it.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when something resonates, you're willing to invest something, at least. So I know that. So you're in it. Somebody will invest in things. So, but then, yeah, you gotta realize, like, when you trusted yourself more, like when you're willing to invest maybe more of your money or whatever, like, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't in our mind's eye, but it's more the faith walk that's important in investments. Like, this is what I'm saying to you and the audience. It's like, it's the faith walk. It's like, okay, yeah, that one program I did was 50 grand and I feel like I learned nothing. Oh my God, what a ripoff. But no, you were guided to do that course for a reason. Whatever it was and whatever you invested, you're guided to it for a reason. It is to this day still paying off, but you just don't see it yet. You just don't see it in your own ego. Your ego's like, oh, that was no good. I didn't learn nothing. Yeah, you got a lot out of it, but you just don't see it yet. So it's a long time sometimes to see that return. Be conscious, like, oh, now I consciously can see the real return on that investment. So we have to see that with our own clients. Sometimes we have to see, like, especially people like you that get really consistent results. And yeah, some clients go sideways. That happens to everybody if they're honest. There's one here or there, right? But overall, hey, people are going to get great results. And you can always, like, if you're worried that somebody's going to invest all this money and they're going to be like, well, you're in it for the money, and that's always the fear, right? And it's like, you can just be like, well, if that person comes forth, then how will I handle that where I can be at peace still with it? Like, what's the mindset I need? Like, what's the mindset or maybe a policy as well, right? Or it could just be simple as a policy. How do I handle it? What's my philosophy around that? And then you work that out. Maybe there is money back. Maybe there is, like, we just discontinue, if they're on payment plan, we just discontinue your payments. Maybe there's, like, I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. Maybe it's like, well, all I know is, like, once you make that investment, whether it's working or not, like, that's just your commitment to yourself. We're just all going to put in as much as we can and into this process, and we're gonna, no matter how much it seems like it's going crazy in moments, if that even happens, we're just trusting the results are happening, and then have that mindset. So there's a lot of different mindsets you can have around it. What I've done at times is, like, I'll just say to myself, I'll say, I'm just knowing they're transforming no matter what. Like, even if they say I'm the worst person in the world and go run away from me, I'm still saying, they're getting all the value out of
And they
that.
learn something. Yeah.
Yeah. I just take that mindset that way. Because I feel it works. It works that way. It helps more. And even if I didn't have that mindset, it still works. But it's like, it just helps me be at peace with it. Like, no, it's working either way. But everybody can have their own way. There are people that love to do I'll give you 50% back or whatever. I think it's fine if it's your truth. I always say it's got to come down to you living your truth and what aligns for you and is not your no BS bottom line with whatever stand you take, then it's all good. But if, but you just have to know what is going to work for you. So anyway, so maybe a little more coaching today than energy scanning, but what are some of your thoughts on what I was sharing there? Yeah.
Well, I love what you said, and you're so right on point. And I am in that transformation for myself to just put the value on it. Right now it's just $1,000 a month for 6 months with a little discount, but to put the value on it, instead of where the turn came for me is also it's so fun that you say that, because yes, I have to find my truth, and sometimes, of course, I want to work, love, help, be there. But it comes to where I don't feel that I have to prove myself. I just have to close telling people that they're gonna get tremendous outcome, right? And I'm just having to push the ball back. And so now it's more in my business, and especially with speaking, because I speak a lot more. Of course, the book is important, and just to come to that programming and webinars and just putting that out there, it's just like I did my work. I put in whatever I can, and it's never less than 100%. It's most of the time more. And so now it's just you. What do you want to get out of it? And if you don't trust that you can do the work, or if you're not really committed, and that commitment is such a huge word. I just did a huge YouTube show on commitment and why people don't want to commit anymore. And it's a big problem and another topic, but I'm committed just to give and to believe that I give to whatever it is, but I don't have to tell my biography constantly. I don't know what you call that. Yeah, your bio, your CV. Right? I don't have to constantly like, oh, no, it's not I know this and I know that, and I know it all. Nah. And maybe I don't know it all, but I'm always committed to be there for you in full energy.
Yeah.
And that's so nice that you said that, because I'm making that transition the last year for myself, just to say, this is it. People will come if they want to do that course, that journey, if they want to walk that experience with me.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have to start wrapping, but people that are feeling your vibe and love you and want to connect more with you, I know you have complimentary session actually that you're offering. Imagine what would be possible, how healing and how encouraging and supportive it could be to spend time with Elian. Amazing, right? So why don't you tell them about your complimentary session?
I would love for people to reach out to the link that I provided, just to reach out to me, tell me, give me feedback, or tell me what you need help with or what direction you want to move. And we'll find a solution together. So absolutely, just an introduction, a story. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. I'm like you. It might go over a little bit, right? It's important to hear somebody's voice. It's important for me, for somebody to come and connect. So it's about connecting, collaboration, care. And I would love for people to come, reach out, and see what they need help with.
Okay, great. So we'll put the link in the show notes for you guys. And I always look at like these intro sessions. Everybody knows like, okay, I might work with her then, and that's going to be part of the discussion, potentially at least. But I look at every situation like that as, hey, I'm just here to give my all to you right now. Whether or not there's any opportunity we're going to work together additionally is almost secondarily a situation. So I have a sense that's kind of along the lines of how you are, Elian. Is that true? Because I don't want to scare people off. Like, you just want to be there for them, and if they want to continue, great. If not, it's okay too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Just connect if you feel it. Connect with me if you feel it. And I will, it's a complimentary call. It's just, I will Zoom with you, whatever people would like to do to have that connection. And maybe I can help in just an hour. Maybe there's something that I can provide. Maybe there's some laughter together, or maybe there's collaboration for the future. So intuitive, whatever comes out of it.
Yeah, great, awesome. All right, so as far as myself, if you all want to reach out to me, as you know, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com, and I have a Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation. If you've been watching these energy scan shows at all, like every energy scan I do on here is different. That's true too when I do my Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation, although it's a little more streamlined. It's not as, whoa, let's go here, let's go. It's a little more streamlined for sure. And we definitely go in a lot more depth. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can check that out. And do similar as here and that. I'll go through your chakras. We talk about your business, but we have more time specifically to go get into everything in more depth during that 60-minute session. So check that out. It is something you need to invest in. So only if you're ready to rock, take advantage of the Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation. For those spiritual leaders and transformational leaders that know you're meant for much more with your sales and your money and your impact, and you got a big mission, it's for you. Okay, so also I've got the Meditate to Make Money meditation there. It helps you to get aligned with the magical money opportunities that want to download through you each day, to open up your energy to that and your guidance, and to simply let it show up like, oh, that's what wants to happen. Great. Then get those energies in you, and then everything flows with clarity from there. So check that out also at yoursacredpurpose.com. Okay, so Elian, this has been such a delight to have you on the show. Do you have any last words for the audience as we begin to end now?
Just keep loving and keep feeling and love on each other. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I just love it. My wise words. Life doesn't get any easier, but you get better at it.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Very well. Thank you so much, Elian, for being on the show today. I was grateful to have you on. And I am grateful, I should say. And thank you for everyone listening in. As I always say, keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here. Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time. Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com.
yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.